Paranormal Inc. right here on WLFE DB Radio.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 27 of Step Into the Paranormal.
This is your host,
Ernie Atwell.
David Seiler.
Well, welcome to our show. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time and we appreciate your energy and effort. What have you been up to lately?
A little bit busy. Toward the end of the show, I'm gonna touch on my adventures last night at Fort Mifflin.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Right.
It was worth talking about, man.
Nice.
I've been wanting to go there. Man, I think I first started reading about Fort Mifflin in about 05 or 06. So I've been wanting to go there for quite some time and was invited there last night. So
I could have made it.
It was a good time.
I had.
Yeah, you were home fighting spirits of your own.
Yeah, I've been having some weird things happen in my house. So actually, while I was on the phone with Ernie, I walked out of my kitchen because I kind of explained what had happened with a friend on. Walked out of my kitchen and turned around and my cabinet doors were open. I'm like, dude. I
gave Dave a call unexpectedly on video chat. And when he answered, he was in his kitchen. Well, I had heard someone in the background talking. And I assumed that his daughter was home.
Nope, nobody's
here.
But
she didn't arrive till today. Well, I heard it again. And I said to Dave, I was like, who is that talking in the background? Well, Dave being Dave, he had to take his phone and go through the entire house.
Nobody's here.
Show me that no one's there. When he returned back to the kitchen to do whatever it was he was doing in the kitchen, the cabinet door above the refrigerator was open.
Yep.
So that was pretty good.
Yep.
Tell them about who's joining us tonight, man.
Today we have a special guest. He's the founder of Commonwealth Researchers of the Paranormal. He's a caretaker of the cabin on 360.
And you could have recently just saw him on episode 3 of Buried Worlds.
Yep. He's an avid paranormal investigator. His team specializes in hosting public events for fundraising purposes at historic locations. They also do private residential cases within Central Virginia with nearly 20 years of experience. Dennis Estlock. Ah!
Hi, y'all.
Welcome in, Dennis.
How you doing?
You look good since the last time I saw you.
Yeah, it's an improvement. This COVID thing, I figured I'd keep y'all safe. I'd mask up, just looking out for you guys.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it.
It was the least I could do.
You look like you're getting ready to go out. You look like you're getting ready to go out and gather up some honey.
Well, no, I bought this because I've got a buddy that does landscaping, and every now and again I join in and work with him. It says it's to help keep you from getting sunburned, but so far I've only taken off 2 toes because I can't see what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, it's a great idea if they would put that part on at your back, right? It'd protect your neck or something, but it doesn't do well.
My dog is going nuts upstairs again. That's what she was doing the other night when all the cabinet doors open.
Yeah,
and now she's coming running.
Actually, I've never heard. I don't think I've ever heard Grace bark. I mean, not Grace. Oh my God, Rose! I'm sorry.
Linda, she's coming down to tell us
what
something's going on upstairs. I'm not gonna. We're in a show. She's like coming down to let us know about it. Sorry about that.
Dennis, what have you been up to, man?
Well, actually, last night, you got to go check out a really cool place. I got to go to you got to go check out Fort Mifflin. I got to go check out a place that was built in 1710 out on Gwynns Island, Virginia. Little private residence. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm fighting with the other screen here. It doesn't want to mute.
Dave's going to find out what his dog is going crazy over.
Show me.
Fort Mifflin, man, that was my first time there. And before we brought you in, I was saying that how long I wanted to go there. And, man, it was much nicer than I expected. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've seen it on so many different shows, and I've spoken to so many people that have been there, but I never got to experience it for myself. And I tell you, man, I was not let down. It was amazing.
Well, like I told you when you told me that you were gone, I'm like, that's definitely a bucket list place, man. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely jealous.
And the thing is, Dennis, I didn't realize just how close I was, how close I lived to it. Getting there took me about 90 minutes, and getting back, I came in at about, I don't know, hour and 20 minutes getting home. So it's not far at all. For some reason, I was thinking I was like 4 hours from there. I don't know why.
All the cabinet doors were open again.
Were they?
That's what she was
barking at. Wow.
You guys need to see about finding like one of the a paranormal investigator.
Yeah. I
think you got stuff there.
You know anybody?
Hey, look, I've been trying to get him to set cameras up when he's not home or when he's asleep, and he won't do it. I told him, Dennis, check this out. I said, run a camera for about 45 minutes, and then we won't even review it. And then one night while we do our episode live, we can play the feedback live, and then everyone that watches, they can do the analysis for us. And if they see something, they can call in with what they see happening on the video. But he's chicken to set a camera up.
See, and that's what cracks me up. There's so many people that they want to investigate, and they're like, oh, I'm all about paranormal investigating. And then you ask them, have you ever investigated your own home? They're like, oh, hell no, I don't want to know what's happening.
Yeah, I don't want to know what's here.
Well, he's a prime example.
Yep.
He's a prime. I tell you what, man, we ought to throw Dave out for a couple hours, man, and we'll just gather up at Dave's house and investigate.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Let me know when I need to throw the gear bags in the truck. I can head north at a moment's notice.
Let's get to the good stuff, man. Tell us about the cabin. Yet another place I haven't been yet.
Brother, you got to check it out. So the cabin on 360 is just like it says. It's a log cabin. It's on Route 360 outside Richmond, Virginia, and Mechanicsville. It was built right around 1980. It was built to be a model home for log cabin sales. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is it and the little brick rancher that sit beside it, they sit on 7 acres of battlefield from the battles of Bethesda Church. Mm-hmm. Now, I've done a little bit of research. Read that as hours and hours and hours. And within an hour and a half, or a mile and a half rather, I can account for 2,264 men killed, captured, wounded, or missing in action right around that property. We sit 3 miles away from Cold Harbor battlefield, and Cold Harbor on a per capita basis was the deadliest battle of the Civil War. It exceeded an 80% death rate. That's just outrageous. So if you think about 80%, and you're like, well, all right, how do I actually put that in real terms? Mm-hmm. Picture gathering 100 of your friends and 80 of them suddenly drop dead.
Oh, wow.
That's how horrific it was. There's confusion on the numbers, both from pretty much everybody. The National Park Service, who runs Cold Harbor, and historians, all of them are saying that anywhere between 7,000 and 12,000 men in the first 90 minutes lay on the battlefield.
Damn. Dennis,
and those men were moving through our property to get there.
Dennis, what first happened that made you or whomever was there at the time? What was some of the first occurrences that led you to believe that there was activity there?
Well, it wasn't so much that. So my buddy Ryan Jones, who runs the property with me, his family owns it. His grandfather bought it in 1978, bought the land and built the cabin, and the brick rancher was already there. With our team, we were like, we really need a place where we can just go and do like practice investigations,
Right.
Try this and try that. So we initially wanted to use the property just kind of as a test lab, if you would. Mm-hmm. A K2, and I do this to it, or I modify this and do that. Will it function the way we're after? And then, so the first day that I walked in the property, I got one of those feelings. And I mean, I'm 3 or 4 feet in the door, and I stopped dead in my tracks, and I looked at Ryan and I said, brother, there's something in this house that ain't human and never has been.
Right.
So we started walking through the house just to check it out and see how we could actually use it as a test lab. And while we're in the basement, we hear this loud female scream that echoed through the house. We're like, what in the, just couldn't make sense of it. Well, Ryan, when he was a young teenager, his father came home one day and was telling the story of how he got called out there by workers, and there was a young lady's body found in the backwoods behind the house. And as it turns out, a 12-year-old young lady was raped and murdered by her 17-year-old half-brother in the house. So that got us started on, let's investigate. We can do some practice, who works best with who, and we were getting so much activity and so many things happening and such strong, intelligent EVPs. We're like, you know what? We need to let other teams come in, check this thing out, see what they get.
Awesome.
And we've had, dozens of teams come through at this point. We had a team come down from New Hampshire. It's a 9.5-hour drive for them. There were 7 people on the team. They booked the place for the whole weekend.
I know what you're going to say. I actually spoke to one of them. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, it was crazy. And we didn't envision how active it was when we decided, hey, we're just going to use it as a test facility.
Right.
Nice.
If I got my facts straight, Dennis, they're the team that not after being there too long packed up and rolled out, right?
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Yep, I knew he was going to say that. I knew you were going to say. I forget where I was, but I ran across one of them. I can't remember where I was, and we were talking about the cabin, and they told me that. Wow, that's amazing.
I love places like that.
What happened that made them leave?
So we have. I don't want to be the. I just put a screen that was disembodied.
That's him.
But so I don't want to be the little boy that yells demon or wolf or whatever.
Right.
We have an energy in the basement there that it has a history of messing with your mind and playing with your emotions and everything else. So after an hour and a half, like I said, I get a call from the lead investigator for that team, and he's like, all right, dude, buildings are locked up and we're done. We're going home. What? He's like, no. He's like, I realized that something was going off the rails when just setting up our gear. We had done the tour and everything, and just setting up our gear, my entire team is fighting amongst each other, like ready to throw down.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And then he says, my best friend of 20 plus years looked at me and he had a really strange look on his face, just doesn't look like him. And he says, I don't know why, but I just want to reach out and just smash your effing face in.
Wow.
Like, I knew right then we had a problem.
Yeah.
He's like, so, being the smart one and having been in this long enough, I opted for safety over evidence and investigating. And we're leaving. Now, they did reach out to me about 2 weeks ago and ask if they were welcome back. And I'm like, yeah, come on back. And this time I will stay with you.
Right.
Nice.
They had reports of seeing a goat man upstairs looking out the window in the log cabin. One of the gentlemen was walking the access trail that goes to the very back end of our property and claims that he stopped to relieve himself into the wood line and all of a sudden realized he's surrounded by half a dozen people in cloaks and hoods. And we've never had that.
Oh, you'd see a long yellow stream at that point. Bye.
That is so cool, man.
But I will tell you this. So usually because we have 7 acres of woodland, we have wolves and fox, and I don't know what all we have back there. I know we've got groundhog and everything else. So I usually have a sidearm on me.
Right.
I really don't want to leave there with a case of rabies or, have my butt chewed up by a rabid raccoon. But on 3 separate occasions, I've drawn my weapon on figures that just disappear in front of me.
Wow.
At 1:30 in the morning, when you're out with just 2 females headed to the way back because you had so much activity go on during an investigation, you want to return to that after the public leaves and see a figure walking to you from about 100 feet away that doesn't respond to commands. Hey, this is private property. You need to call out. Who are you? You're trespassing. And you let them get about 40 feet away and they're just steady walking straight at you. I've got a laser and light on my sidearm. When I draw from the holster, it lights up.
Right.
So when I raised my weapon up, there was nobody there. I lowered the weapon and looked again, raised the weapon, and nobody there. And I asked the girls, I said, y'all did see something, right? And they're like, yeah, there was he was walking right up the middle at us. I'm like, I got nothing.
He's gonna kill me when he watches this later, but you're talking about the wildlife there and being armed. Jeff Leeper sent me several pictures of a firearm that he purchased the other day, and I tell you what, man, this thing looks like a freaking cannon for a sidearm. But the reason is where they're filming at, there's like an abundance of big snakes. And he's got like the same thing going on with snakes as I do. So he literally purchased this firearm for snakes.
A 22 will kill us.
No, you wouldn't believe the size. I'll give you a hint. He named his gun. The gun's name is Dirty Harry. So when you see Jeff Leeper,
you feel lucky, punk. I'll tell you.
Hey, Dennis, what's one of your most memorable or unforgettable experiences that you've had there? I'm sure you've had many. Yeah.
Well, one of them is the occasion that I actually drew my weapon. So at the cabin, we host a lot of charity events. One of our first toy drives that we did it's a organization here in our area called Henrico Christmas Mother. Everybody had left. It's probably 1:30 in the morning. And I had a few beers. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to drive home. I don't want to risk it. So I plugged in my little Bose speaker and got Pandora playing. I threw my sleeping bag on the floor upstairs in the loft, took my weapon off, laid it up by my left shoulder. And I just stretched it out in the sleeping bag and I'm sound asleep. I know the cabin is dead bolted. I know nobody's in there with me. I woke up when it just went, that deathly quiet where like not even a cricket is chirping.
Yes.
I woke up to that. Now I sleep with the TV on because I have some medium ability. So I hear people trying to interact with me at all times.
Right.
So I sleep with the TV on. Well, when it went dead silent, I kind of wake up, as I'm laying there and I'm like, what the? And looking at me from about 4 feet away is an old man just standing there with his arms folded across his chest, just staring at me. So I locked eyes with him, locked eyes on him. I reached up to grab my weapon, cut my eyes away real quick, and he was gone in that instant. And I can describe him to a T. Now, there was a young lady that owned a business at one time in the log cabin that came out and attempted to take her own life. And she said, and she slit both wrists, said that she was sitting in her office chair with her arms just hanging over the sides of the chair. And she recalls at one point from being 6 or so feet away from her own body in the chair, looking at her body, seeing it, seeing the blood pool on both sides. And an old man came up and stood beside her and an old woman beside him. And she said, at some point, the old man just turned and looked at me and says, it's not your time. You're not ready. You have to go back.
That's scary, man.
And she said, next thing I remember was a very brief conversation with paramedics and waking up in the hospital 2 days later.
Wow.
My description of the old man that stood looking at me and the old man that she described standing beside her matched.
Wow.
Who he is, I don't know.
Right.
You know, the cabin hasn't been there since, or wasn't there before the 1980s.
It has to do with the land.
Oh, it's got to.
Yeah.
It's got to. But so I see in chat that Brandon Johnson mentioned the Alcoholics Ward in St. Albans. And he's right. That is, that's one of the coolest ones. So Brandon and I got teamed up. Vibe Radio Network, my buddy Ryan, they host an event there at St. Albans. So Brandon and I get teamed up. We're stationed down in the Alcoholics Recovery Room, and they're bringing groups through to us. So I got half a dozen pieces of gear set up, and they bring us the first group. And I explained to them what everything is. And I said, all right, first thing we're going to do is run an audio session, EVP session, see what we get. I said, so everybody kind of gather around me, and I take a knee right in the middle, and I'm holding the recorder up. And it's like, isn't that convenient? Right handy as an EVP recorder. So I'm like, all right, so we're in alcohol recovery room. And right off the bat, it sounds like somebody leans in and goes, F you. Just plain as dead.
Brandon, you need to stop that.
But, you know, of course, that was one of those where I do playback and everyone was like, oh, who said that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't think they like me much. But, yeah, so that was a great event. But, you know, out in the woods, we've had, at the cabin, we've had full-bodied apparitions on numerous occasions. One of the first times that I got touched there, there were 3 of us almost simultaneously got touched. Again, I had my weapon on my hip, so the tail end of the grip on my pistol sticks out just a little behind my back. I had a 360 periscope on the ground. I had a REM pod on the ground. We kept hearing walking all around us, but nobody would come close to us. I didn't get anything on the few burst sessions I did. Finally, I told a group of like 6 that were with me, I said, all right, everybody turn your back to the center of the circle and watch outbound. See if they can see anybody moving. A few minutes goes by. I've asked a few questions. I've asked them to come in and interact with the gear, and nothing. And then finally, I'm like, well, listen, tell me, what do you think of Abraham Lincoln?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh. We all hear like 3 or 4 heavy footsteps. The 360 periscope goes halfway around, lights up. The REM pod went off. The girl behind me jumps and hollers, what the hell? Then I jumped. Then the girl beside me does one of those, you know how your wife acts when you're driving? It was one of those. You know, when you're doing 3 miles an hour in the parking lot? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I asked the girl that was behind me why she jumped. And she's like, straight up, it was a full hand grabbed the back of my thigh. And she's like, wait a minute, you jumped too. You don't do that. Why? Why'd you jump? And I said, something ran straight across the small of my back and hit my pistol handle.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked at the girl next to me and I said, now, why did you take that deep breath of like shock? And she's like, right after you jumped, there was just this icy cold blast pushed right through me. She's like, that kind of freaked me out. And I'm like, perfect path from where we heard the footsteps come around past the equipment, past her, past me, and right past the girl on my right.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to take a guess. That was a Confederate, and he didn't like Abraham Lincoln.
Right. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
But, you know, we've got so much history on that land. Just off the back corner of our property, less than a quarter of a mile off, is a modern day road that at the time was just a horse trail.
Uh-huh.
And the Confederates, 10th Virginia, had headed out up that horse trail after 2 days of heavy rain, 500 members strong, and they're going on an offensive attack against the Union headquarters that's a mile and a half off to our northeast. They got bogged down in this muddy bottom. And unbeknownst to them, 5,000 members of Union Army was coming in to A, go to Cold Harbor, and B, attack the church where they were at, which is right across the road from the cabin. And they massacred 400 of them right in that muddy bottom.
Mm.
Now, the way the topography would have been, that little creek that they were in and got bogged down in, it kind of fades out across our back property. So literally their blood would have flowed across our land. And I think there are still a bunch of them there.
Right.
We've heard numerous accounts of residual musket fire, residual cannon fire, like signal whistling where they're trying to whistle to each other back and forth across the woods. And we know there's nobody living out there at that time.
Right.
So just the number of occurrences that we've had there and the amount of evidence that we've gathered has just been insane.
Right.
Like Ryan captured an EVP out in the backwoods asking, can you tell us what your name is? And it was one of the ladies in the group that asked the question. And there was a male that responded just plain as day, Dylan. And I asked Ryan, I said, are you sure it wasn't one of the guys in your group? And he was like, dude, and all women.
Right.
Oh.
Well, in today's day, you never know,
You can't dispute.
Yeah.
You can't dispute that, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like a few years back, I was hosting an event, and it was all adults in the group, and I captured a Class A EVP direct response of a little girl, and it was like no children there. It was only adults.
Yep.
So it's like, how can you even dispute that?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your experience on Buried Worlds, Dennis.
Dude, that was so cool. So I get this random phone call from a Los Angeles phone number. And they're like, hi, is this Dennis Estlock? And I went, well, it's pronounced Estlock, but how can I help you? And he's like, oh, well, my name's such and such. I'm with such and such production company, and we're filming for a new Travel Channel series. And I'm like, oh, well, now I've dropped my smart ass attitude.
Yeah, now you've got my attention. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten several calls, and hey, we're interested in you for this show or that show, and usually it's BS.
Right.
This one, I was thinking the same thing until he explains to me how he got my number, and it's people that I know personally. Which actually, I think she's in here. I don't see her in the chat right now, but Kimberly, thank you a ton, sweetheart. The trust and respect that you afforded me in passing my name on for that was just remarkable. But at that time, they didn't even have a name for the series. They had a working name. And so I'm like, yeah, I'd be more than happy to come out and check out, film with you. So we set everything up and I go out, and it's funny as hell because I have watched, all right, so there's like 7,000 episodes of Mysteries at the Museum. So I have watched Don Wildman for like 5 years, and I'm like, that dude's got a great job, man.
Yeah,
He's got a great job. I'd love to have his job. So I meet with the field producer out there, and he's like, all right, so they're up there right now with Tabitha, and they're doing some interviews and talking about some of the history. I'll tell you what, if we can get you to move your truck back here, and just kind of hang out at your truck. I'm like, all right, well, that'll give me a chance. I'll drop tailgate, and I'll figure out what pieces of gear I want to take off into the woods. He's like, great. And then I had a fanboy moment.
Uh-oh.
I'm not expecting this. I didn't even know that Don Wildman was on site that day.
Oh, Lord.
And as I'm rooting through my gear case at the tail end of the truck, they come walking around the corner. All I see people move by, and I looked up, and there's Don Wildman. And he goes, hi, I'm Don. And I'm like, yeah, you are. He kind of laughs, and he goes, all right, so here's what we're going to do. One, I'm Don. Nice to meet you. Well, it's great meeting you, man. I've watched your show for years. I've got a great deal of respect for you. And he said, well, wonderful. He goes, I respect what you do as well, but here's what I'm going to do. We're going to walk back about 25 feet and we're going to approach again. And hopefully we don't have that same episode. That would be really good. So where he walks around the corner and you see us make our introductions is take two without the fanboy experience.
Yeah.
But so then he's like, so as we're walking out, and I mean, like it shows us on the episode walking through the marsh, and we literally are walking through the damn swamp. But he's like, so tell me, do you really think that we're going to talk to a spirit or anything? I went, well, there's a good possibility. I have on numerous occasions in the past. And they didn't actually, which kind of saddens me, they didn't put any evidence that I provided to them from previous investigations, nor did they put in the actual piece of audio that I gave them from us right there. When you see him ask a second time, are you familiar with the settlers from Roanoke Island? I've got a Class A female voice with an English accent, most certainly. Just beautiful piece of evidence. Wow. And they cut it out.
Wow.
I got a phone call from production, and it's sad, but he was like, so who is this voice that we heard? What do I do with this? And I went, well, it's called an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. We didn't hear it. It was, spirits that were there talking to us.
Right.
So my best recommendation is superimpose captioning on it, play that clip. Oh, I don't know if we'll include that or not, but that's a great piece to have.
Really?
Maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't. They felt maybe it would spark up debate or controversy. You know what I mean? Because you know how some skeptics are, and
I don't think they're worried about how some skeptics are because they put the Jay and Silent Bob at the end of the episode.
Right.
That demonic and possession and everything, from everybody that I've spoken to, and the historian that is there, which is Kimberly. You want to talk? She's got thousands of hours. Her and her friend, who's now passed, Kevin, have thousands of hours out there investigating and gathering evidence and looking through archives and anything and everything they can get a hold of. And there has never once been any evidence of demonic activity out there.
Right.
In all the public events that I've done out there, there was never any inkling or, the feeling of any demonic activity there. But Jay and Silent Bob, I think, truly just wanted to make TV. So they concocted this BS story that nobody had ever heard before. They've never told anybody before. And all of a sudden, we had a possession.
Oh, wow.
I guess
Kimberly says it was all a lie.
Yeah, I guess you got to throw a little Hollywood in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you look at virtually any show that's being aired today, and I'm not knocking them, I understand it's all TV, it's all entertainment. They have to sell advertising spots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does better? Watching. So I want you to think about your investigation last night at Fort Mifflin. Sitting in a dark room, holding up a recorder going, is there anybody here who wants to talk to us? That's not good TV.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I say, we were talking once before, you might, on these shows, you may film for 12 hours.
Right. And only catch 5 minutes worth of.
Come up with, 48 minutes, of a TV show out of 12 hours of investigating.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you guys know, I spent a couple of years as the tech director for the Twisted Realm, Lyle Lotz and Company.
Right.
And average is about 70 hours of filming to get that episode.
Yeah.
So, it's not always just boom, 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 boom. But if you watch a show today, most of them are like, one thing happens right after another.
Yeah.
So there's there's probably 3 coffee breaks and a dinner fiesta in between all those.
Yeah.
But you have to condense it. And I understand that. It makes better TV, better ratings and everything else. But yeah, I mean, filming with him was really cool. And the coolest part was after the cameras are off and everything, and we're walking back to the truck, he's like, so let me ask you, that thing that lit up back there, do you mean to tell me that was a spirit right there with us? There was a ghost standing there? And I went, well, I won't say yes or no. The scientific field would say I'm full of shit if I told you yes, but that device is designed to only monitor the static field. Static is not kind of a free-flowing energy. When it changed colors to my request, static generally isn't an intelligent energy that can do that. Mm-hmm. So if I were to go out on a limb, I would say, yeah, we probably had a visitor tonight. And he's like, man, that is so cool. He's like, I've never done investigating like this. I've never done a paranormal investigation.
Oh, he's got to do it.
But that was super cool. So I get to take credit. I got down on Wildman's paranormal investigating cherry.
Ernie and I actually had an experience. We were actually communicating with something, and it was giving us answers. Anytime we hit the yes answer, it would hit the REM pod. If it was no, it wouldn't do anything. We had a 20-minute session at the Haldeman Mansion with the spirit talking to us via REM pod. We were both amazed. That's up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's pretty uncommon with that piece of equipment. What I tell you though, what I like about Don Wildman's show is he's so humble.
Oh, I know.
And what made it interesting, like with Dennis's episode, that Don right from the get-go said how, like, he's really not that experienced in paranormal. So I was like, oh, man, this is gonna be good. You know what I mean? He didn't try to play like he knew, a whole lot, like he was an expert. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed that show. It's actually, I think it's on tomorrow. I believe it's on Monday.
Yeah, it's on Monday nights at 9.
Yeah.
Now the really cool thing, if you noticed during that episode, he did have one bleep while we were out in the swamp. And that's when that device lit up out of nowhere, and I asked it to give me specific colors. And
right. Yep.
All of a sudden, you hear him, effing hell.
What do you got planned in the future, man? Once this madness with this virus is over.
Well, man, all right. So one of the things, my team is, we're focused more on helping out historic locations.
Okay.
We'll do private residence, paranormal investigations, things that go bump in the night. But my team is more focused on locations and helping them. So one of the locations that I'm getting ready to actually set up a date with, we did last year, we did a public investigation for Pamplin Historical Park. So it's 424 acres of battlefield.
Wow.
Thousands of men were put to rest there. Thousands of men were killed there. But because of the pandemic, because of all the quarantining, because of cancellations and weddings, and they do over 4,000 students come through there a year. They're nearly $500,000 down in their budget for the rest of the year.
I should imagine, yeah.
So we're going to work with them and try to do a couple of events out there and at least give them some help in their budget.
Right.
We did one with them last year, and like I said, we were able at the end of the night to hand them a check for $1,500.
Nice.
That doesn't seem like a huge amount, but if you do that a few times a year, it adds up very quickly.
Oh, amen.
Haunted Nights events that Lyle Lotz and Twisted run just did one. They have one coming up for Henricus Historical Park. Now, my team has done events at Henricus for about 5 years. And over the course of that 5 years, we've handed them over $7,000 in donations.
That's good, man.
It makes a huge difference to a location when they don't have to worry about, in one night, they can make their week's payroll, maybe, or whatever. So, so we've got Pamplin Historical Park coming up, probably two visits there. I'm in talks with Bacon's Castle, which is a really cool place down in Surrey County, Virginia. I'm looking to get a few more charity events done at the cabin. I've got so many places that we're trying to work with, and I've got a few that I won't release yet. I won't tell anybody about them.
Right.
But that's what my team is mainly focused on, is just to help these locations. They need it. They need the funds. They're all nonprofit. They're not getting the foot traffic they're used to having. So, Henricus Park has been asking for donations just to help keep their animals fed.
Wow.
That should never be a case. That should never be an issue. But these places are hurting. So above all, even if you don't join a team with a paranormal investigation at a location like that, go visit them. Go do a walkthrough. Go learn the history at that place.
Yep. Well, if it's anything that Dave and I can help with, man, along the way for the charity events, please, man. I mean, we're all about it.
We'd love to have you guys tag along with us on one and show up. And then the other thing that my team does. So, and I'm gonna mention this because I know I'm speaking with Leo, former military. So the other thing that my team does twice a year, we go to, there's a total of 4 cemeteries. It's Evergreen Cemetery, East End Cemetery, 2 pauper cemeteries, and then we just started picking up Woodland Cemetery. Mm-hmm. These are primarily Black cemeteries that were from the turn of the century that were to be prestigious. I mean, we've got bankers, lawyers, university presidents that are all laid to rest here. And the trouble is, these were all done before the laws for perpetual care. So they're overgrown. They're woodlands. Literally, it's a wooded land. So we go twice a year. We raise funds, we buy flags, and we go place over 400 flags twice a year. This weekend, somebody went through at 2 of the larger ones that we do, and they stripped all the flags off the graves and threw them in a dumpster.
Wow, man.
So,
that's not cool.
That's not cool at all.
So that's what we're up against, and it's just the climate of today's society, I think. But I assure you that the temperament of today and the way that went down, this is all just temporary, folks. The folks that are out losing their minds and protesting in the streets and raising all this cane and tearing things down, that's all temporary. But the dedication and devotion to honor and respect our veterans that my team and the volunteers that join us, that's permanent. Yeah. We will be back for Veterans Day, and we will be back putting new flags out. Mm-hmm. So you can go tell them
myself, brother, I want to tell you thank you.
It's our honor. It's our honor. And I think, let's see if I can point right. You see that license plate back there?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
That little blue symbol right there is a law officer's badge with a rose. And across the bottom of it, it says, "Heroes live forever." That's a law enforcement memorial license plate for the state of Virginia that I had on my truck.
Nice.
Very good.
But my father was military. My father was LEO. I'm 6th generation military. Most of the folks that come out and join us, I've got 2 ladies that are just absolutely wonderful that join us from the VFW Auxiliary. They donate flags to us every year, the Mechanicsville Post. So they may be able to take the flags. They can't take our spirit and our heart.
Exactly. Hey, Dennis, before we let you go, I'm glad you brought that up with the whole law enforcement, and we were talking about the pandemic that's going on. We will keep you updated with the Paranormal Relief Project that I spoke to you about, organized by Tori Smith. It's set for, this is for everybody watching, May 1st of 2021. It's going to reach around the country. We even have other parts of the world that are going to participate.
Yes.
Where it's going to be a live simultaneous investigation for law enforcement, fire, doctor, EMT, healthcare, everybody that's on the front lines during this pandemic. We're hooking them up with a paranormal investigation as a way to give back. So I just wanted to plug that real quick. We're more than happy to have Dennis on board as
Amen.
well.
Amen.
This project's actually growing every day. If you follow one of the pages, it's like every 5 minutes, man, there's a new location popping up. So Dennis,
well, make sure to send me the link to that.
I'll get you everything you need, Dennis.
Yeah, and consider the Cabin on 360 as a supporting member of that.
We got
we'll host for them, whatever we need to do between the crop and Cabin on 360. You got our support.
Thanks, man. I will pass that on to Tori tonight. I already told her I spoke to you about it and all that good stuff. Man, we want to thank you, man, for joining us tonight, Dennis. We've been wanting to have you on here for a while now, and Dave and I can't wait to get down to the cabin.
Yeah,
I was actually talking to you at the bash last year about it. That's one of our bucket lists.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I know a guy that has a key.
Really? Who?
I know.
I'm gonna give him a call, man.
Listen,
I'm gonna hook it up.
Yeah, I got his number now.
This is just between us three. Nobody needs to know about this, but I know how to hook you up.
Anybody in the world. So everybody, plug your ears right now.
So hey, I'm gonna give it a plug. I see Carmen asked how do we get access.
Tell them your website.
Jump over to the Facebook page, The Cabin on 360. Send us a message. We'll get you booked in. Our rates are probably cheaper than anybody else. Sunday night through Friday night, $200 from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. Saturday night is $240.
Yeah.
That's
not bad at all.
Got electric in both buildings, a refrigerator, microwave, and coffee pot in the log cabin. There's bathrooms in both. We do not have shower facilities, so you're going to have to, give a little sponge bath, I guess.
There you go.
But other than that, you get both structures and 7 acres of woods.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
We will definitely be in touch about hooking up something with Paranormal Inc., man. And like I said, if it's anything we can do with your fundraiser, please call us.
Definitely.
I mean, that's heartbreaking what you were telling, man, especially about, needing help with taking care of the animals and stuff like that. Please, anything we can do, man, call us.
I certainly will. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you so much for having me on. To everybody that was listening, oh, by the way, I missed this. Melissa Grubbs, thank you so much for your support, sweetheart. You kick ass. Keep that up.
Thank you again, Dennis. You're welcome back anytime, and I will be in touch over the next few days. I will still be in Gettysburg next week as planned, even though the bash was
canceled.
Yeah.
But he'll still be around, and he has a lot of stuff that if you want to come look at with merchandise, stuff like that, some good stuff that we help support, some of these causes with.
Dennis, we will be in touch, my brother. Thank you, man.
Peace, guys. Have a blessed week.
See you later, man.
Thanks for watching.
All right. Hey, guys, stick around because we have some additional information. So Ernie went to
That's me.
Fort Mifflin last night.
Yeah, man. I got to take my hat off for this one. Let me tell you what we did. I forget the proper name of where I was at. It was
that way.
Yeah, the structure that we were in.
Right.
So it started. Michelle and I were in there, and she was running a REM pod, and I think we were doing some other pieces of equipment. So 2 of the guests came in, and they said, "Hey, do you mind if we try some EVPs?" And we're like, "Nah, sure." Well, they're doing their EVP questions, and the one guest, she got a Class A, clear as day, get out. Just like that. So I was like, hold the phone. I'm going to go get the Phasma box. This is a great location.
Now, if you guys don't know what the Phasma box is, it's an actual installation program on a computer that you can actually turn your internet off with, and it'll still pick up AM/FM signal and play it for you. So, but it plays it very clearly, and it's really neat.
And you don't have all that. You don't have all that
like
junk
garbage behind it
in the background, like spirit boxes and echo box. I mean, it's just dead silence,
right?
Until you
hear what you're going to hear.
So anyhow, well, what I did was I was running it in reverse. You know that whole story. How? Okay,
right.
So I get the Phasma box, and we're making pretty good contact. We're getting direct answers. Well, as this is going on, more and more of the guests start to come in. So, everybody's chiming in a little bit. So I said, all right, man, I'm gonna try something here. So I had one of Michelle's daughters. She stepped outside with me. Okay. And I asked her to give me a password that no one would know. So I wrote the password down on my phone on a notebook. I send her back in. So I have a little one-on-one, like whoever I was communicating with.
Yep.
Macy just gave me a password. This is it. Could you please, upon my request, tell everyone the password? So we go in, and I did just as I said. I asked for the password. Well, sure enough,
the password is
sure enough, Phasma box starts responding. In the background of it, I heard it. I heard the password, and I was very vocal about it. I was like, I heard the password. So what I did was I asked, could you please repeat it? Like the guests weren't ready for it. They need to hear it as well. So it repeated the password. The gentleman to my left goes, it just said yellow. Well, I still didn't give it away. And I talked a little bit to sidetrack him. And then I said, okay, before we stop, could you please one more time, for the third time, tell me the password? Yellow. So I, sure enough, programmed my phone and showed them what I typed in, and the password was yellow.
And I bet you everybody hit the roof.
And it was kind of exciting because we've done that before and just didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we've done several little tricks with the whole password game. And, it's hit and miss. But it was on point.
Target,
I mean, just
I love it.
As soon as I asked, man, first response I got was the password.
Yeah, and it's undeniable at that point because you can't get it 1, 2, and 3 times in a row like that.
Right. Yeah. And it was funny though, because we were, some people wasn't familiar with a Phasma box. And the funny thing is, like I explained to them, when we're addressing the spirit that's there, once we stop and like have a conversation amongst ourselves, it goes dead silent.
Yep.
Dead silent. And then, we refer back to it again, and boom, it starts talking
kicking
again.
Yeah, I love it. I love the Phasma box.
But anyway, what do you got, David?
Basically, just going over the stuff and the things that are going on upstairs. So I'm probably gonna throw something out there. It's been getting a lot of activity. You even saw during tonight's show, my dog went nuts. I went up there and everything was open again. And it's usually happening between about 4 and about 8 p.m. And when I get up in the morning, nothing's wrong. It's between 4 and 8 p.m. at night.
I personally think it of course, I mean, it's nothing malevolent or malicious, but Dave's the best tech guy I know. And anybody that's come to any of our events knows he's a great investigator. But Dave just has this thing with it being in his house. And I think whomever it is that's doing this knows that it's getting to Dave. And I think they're messing with you.
I think they are too.
Like the little occurrences I have in my house, like I always said, I'm finding my little knickknacks and statues turned around. And then without saying anything, Lori confirmed who it was and why they were doing it. And I think that's what they're doing, man. They're messing with you.
Well, I think Lori's told me who she thinks it is. I disagree with that, but that's okay. I think it's either my grandmother or grandfather. We did the Phasma box up there, and the female voice that says, Dave, you know who this is.
Yeah, yeah.
And my grandmother has a middle name, and I've been asking out loud, give me the middle name. I don't tell anybody what her middle name was. My mother, me, and my sister know what it is. And it's an Indian name because she was part Indian. So her mother was Indian. So it's a very uncommon name. And if that comes up, then I will know 100% it's my grandmother and grandfather. So,
and I don't even know what it is. Nope. So I'm going to have fun with this.
Yep.
But this is what I suggested, and this is about the 10th episode now I've said this on. I proposed to Dave to run a camera for about 45 minutes when he's not here or when he's elsewhere in the house. Do not review it. I won't review it. And then what we'll do is run it back live on the next episode of the show, and everybody watching can review it. And if you see anything or think you see anything, you can chime in or call me, and we'll do it. We'll do the analysis right here live.
I will gladly step out and let you do your thing. But when I was firstly started paranormal investigating, the first rule that I learned is never investigate by yourself.
You're not investigating.
Screw that shit.
Set the camera up and leave. We'll review it. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I don't want to know. I want to know, but I don't want to know.
Paranormal Inc.'s looking for a new tech guy. If anyone's interested, please. And Brandon Johnson, man.
We love you, bro. We love you.
That I got to hear more about that story. When I saw Brandon in there and I was reading his comment, and I'm like, look at Brandon. He's throwing shots at Dennis. I didn't know it was leading up to a story. But I got to hear more about that. So, and for those that don't know, Brandon Johnson is from Twisted Paranormal, and
good friends. Yep.
Great people, man.
Great people.
That was the show and the production that Dennis was referring to. So that's Brandon and his crew.
All right, guys. It is that. Hi, Diana. I see the way I'm just going to post. Diana's like, come on, Dave. I'm like, hell no.
You know what we're going to.
No. Anyway, guys, it is that time of night. Distraction.
I'm going to hide a piece of equipment in Dave's house without him knowing it.
Exit stage left.
And I can see him going around at night like this with like a detector looking to try to find the piece of equipment I hid. I'm going to plant something in his house without him knowing it, and we will review it. But if anybody thinks that that's a good idea to set up a camera and review it live on one of our episodes, I want you to blow Dave's phone up. Blow Dave's phone up.
Put it here in this chat. Anyway, the show's ending. Love you. Bye.
Hey, we'll catch you all in
2 weeks.
I will. A lot of us will still be in Gettysburg as planned, even though the bash got canceled because of this pandemic. So we will still be up there from Thursday till Sunday. I have all the merchandise with me. If you need anything, hit me up. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Peace.